As the coronavirus outbreak continues, two very contrasting statistics from different parts of the world.
This will be probably the toughest week between this week and next week.
Health officials in Iran are warning of a second wave of cases if people don't follow the advice to stay at home.
Hell, biblical.
We are at war.
This is a war zone.
I kid you not.
Should I call someone?
Call everyone.
With the rise in the coronavirus pandemic, the entire world is huddled together at home. And while we are all binge watching TV and movies to keep ourselves distracted, a rather peculiar film has caught our attention. It's a pandemic film that is real, horrifying, scary. You will even come across some of the phrases that have become commonplace today.
Social distancing.
We are not.
Many people are hailing it as being prophetic. But wait, is it though? Well, for starters, it ticks off all the basic checkboxes of a pandemic, like confusion, mass hysteria, cover-ups, a huge death toll, rapid spread of infection, conspiracy theories, race to create vaccinations, and other scenarios I didn't even think possible. You name it. It is scary because it's real. It can happen in real life. It has already happened, and it is happening again as we speak. But here's the problem. It's too much. It's too complicated a topic to process in a mere 100-minute runtime. There are way too many moving parts, too many points of views, and in a race to tick off all the checkboxes, Contagion forgets the most important thing: to develop the characters in a humane way, to give them more time and space to breathe. Instead, it is merely an overview of the events that unfold. Now that we have grown used to a lot of graphs, here's one. This graph shows us how much screen time all of the characters got. We also have some of the secondary characters like the Doctor played by Elliot Gould, and of course the obligatory montage sequences. Kate Winslet's subplot made the most sense to me. In a very brisk pace, it covered her character, her work, her will to stop at nothing, and most importantly, her sudden shocking death that subverts our expectations. Suddenly we realize none of the characters are safe from the virus, because the virus doesn't give a damn about who you are, not even that you are a main character.
But the good news here is that you're not going to get sick.
Okay, well, yeah, maybe it does. And that's about it. There are 5 other significant characters who get as little screen time as an episode of The Office. So firstly, you have Dr. Cheever, played by Lawrence Fishburne, whose plot is essentially fighting the virus, defending the public, finding a cure, directing a team that is finding a cure, getting worried about his wife, his personal relationship with other main characters, all in a span of 26 minutes. We never go into any of these things in great detail. There's not enough time. Then we have Damon, whose point of view sheds light on the absolute chaos brought about by shortage of supplies, emergency services, vaccinations, and also the boredom and loneliness that comes along with the lockdown, all in the span of 23 minutes. Again, there's not enough time. Instead, I did not even see any point in his subplot. It could have been easily replaced by more screen time for other characters, and we could have seen the chaos from their point of view instead. But oh well. Marion Cotillard's subplot is even more ridiculous. Clocking in at a mere 12 minutes, we have her investigating the source of the pandemic, the government cover-up, her kidnapping, and eventual release. Her investigation itself is boiled down to 1.5 minute montage. Instead of going in depth into the investigation that otherwise sounds extremely fascinating, she gets kidnapped halfway through the film and turns up almost after 38 minutes, long enough to make us totally forget about her. At this point, the film hasn't shown us her getting close to the local people. Hence, when she storms off in her final moment, her actions feel unmotivated because we as an audience have not spent enough time in the experience she goes through. There isn't enough time. So what is the solution? Well, we make time. And the answer lies in something where we have already seen success: television. Contagion being a limited series sounds like an incredibly ambitious idea, full of potential. A couple of hours more to let the story breathe, to let the characters grow so that we spend more time with them. We see in depth into their struggles, their emotions, their connections. Steven Soderbergh is not a stranger to TV, and I'm pretty sure he'll nail a masterpiece if Contagion is remade for TV. I mean, Contagion itself has astounding filmmaking.
Right. Unfortunately, she did die.
Right.
I'm sorry, Mr. Amoff.
Okay. Lisa, can I go talk to her?
Mr. Amoff, I'm sorry. Your wife is dead.
And from the all-star cast of mostly Oscar-nominated veteran actors, we can't expect anything less. This is a brilliantly well-made film by a director who knows what he is doing. But again, there isn't enough time. So is Contagion a good pandemic movie? Well, kinda yeah. It may sacrifice time to cover huge events in mere bullet points, but Contagion has at least begun conversations on those bullet point topics and how they relate to the same events we are all experiencing at the moment. If a film is good enough to generate dialogue and interest over its themes, then I guess it's a small victory. In the end, any visual story is itself powerful because it is visual and in the same sense, more tangible. Contagion's most powerful aspect still remains its ending. Life goes on despite the world almost crumbling down, despite the lockdowns and the economic meltdowns. Of course, that doesn't cover other problems like homelessness and people who lost their jobs. But it is still a beautiful, humane gesture, one that rings true to billions of people living at home right now, trying to uplift their spirits in their own way. But as the music fades, we are warned of the fact that the next pandemic is inevitable, not unless we learn from our mistakes and stop them from happening again. We need to see through our faults, through the political cover-ups, the egos. Of course, we know this ideal world doesn't actually exist. It's alright to dance to your victories, but that victory is only the beginning to a very long battle that has only just begun. And this battle will never end unless we make the change and be the change.